The greatest misconception in business is that marketing means shouting into a void, hoping to catch the attention of a chaotic, undifferentiated crowd. In reality, enterprise marketing is a rigorous, mathematically precise architecture. It is a calculated system designed specifically to create value for a distinct group of people and capture value from them in return. This flowchart shows the standard enterprise marketing process. It begins strictly on the top left, understanding the marketplace and the specific needs and wants of the customer. But raw data is inert. The immediate next step is actively designing a customer-driven marketing strategy. Having a massive database of consumer habits accomplishes nothing unless you build a targeted strategy to convert those habits into a specific customer's lifetime value. Designing that customer-driven strategy relies entirely on a dual mandate structure. We call this the STP model, standing for segmentation, targeting, and positioning. This graphic maps two mandates. The left side dictates which customers to serve, dividing the market into homogeneous groups, segmentation, and selecting which to enter, targeting. The right side dictates differentiating your offering to create superior customer value and positioning it firmly. This is an unbreakable rule of enterprise marketing. You cannot engineer a successful value proposition until you have mathematically segmented and targeted your specific audience. A market segment is defined as a distinct group of customers who share a highly similar set of needs and wants. This diagram illustrates how consumer markets are sliced using four distinct overlapping vectors or bases for segmentation. Geographic segmentation groups buyers by rigid physical borders, like nations, cities, or specific neighborhoods, mapped by Nielsen Prism categories. Prism is a standardized data set that classifies every U.S. household into distinct consumer segments based on purchasing preferences and geography. This graphic shows the nodes of demographic segmentation, the most common baseline used by corporations. It categorizes the market using tangible metrics like income, gender, race, and age. Notice the critical distinction between chronological age and life stage. A major life event, like a divorce or a new baby, drastically overrides chronological age in dictating a consumer's immediate needs. While geographic location and basic demographics provide the where and the who, they are only the superficial outer layers of predicting actual human consumption. Generational demographic segmentation categorizes consumers by the shared macro events of their coming-of-age era. The historical bookends of modern consumerism begin with the silent generation, born between 1925 and 1945. They are followed by the post-war explosion cohort, the baby boomers, born between 1945 and 1960. Next is the transitional cohort, Generation X, bridging the gap between 1960 and 1980. Then come the digital early adopters, millennials, or Generation Y, born from the early 1980s to 1995. And finally, the first true digital native cohort, Generation Z, born between 1995 and 2012. Mapping these exact temporal ranges allows corporations to predict long-term consumption patterns based on the shared cultural psychology embedded in each cohort. If demographic data simply explains the superficial who is buying, psychographic segmentation goes much deeper to explain exactly why they buy. Psychographic segmentation divides buyers strictly on the basis of psychological traits, distinct lifestyles, or deeply held personal values. This matrix is the US VALS, or Values and Lifestyles Framework. It serves as the enterprise standard for mapping consumer psychology based on a combination of demographic and attitudinal responses. The framework's horizontal axis represents consumer motivation. It categorizes primary internal drives into three lanes: ideals, achievement, or self-expression. The vertical axis maps consumer resources. This demonstrates how differing levels of capital, energy, and innovation constrain or enable a person's behavior. A person's available resources dictate how they express their primary motivation, sorting them into highly specific profiles like inkers, strivers, or makers. The VALS framework prevents a fatal marketing mistake, assuming two demographically identical people will buy the same product for the same internal reason. The final vector is behavioral segmentation. This divides buyers purely on their knowledge of, attitude toward, or actual response to a specific product. Even after perfectly profiling a psychographic segment, closing a sale requires navigating the hidden decision roles operating within that group. This graphic uses a standard family unit as a microcosm to dissect these distinct decision-making roles during a single purchase. First, there is the initiator, who spots the underlying need, followed by the influencer, often the children, who actively sways the group's preference toward a specific brand. Finally, we reach the executing roles, the decider who makes the ultimate choice, the buyer who actually holds the capital and facilitates the transaction, and the final user. A perfectly targeted product will fail entirely if the marketing collateral only speaks to the end user, but completely ignores the buyer holding the wallet. Once market segmentation is complete, the enterprise must execute its targeting strategy. Every executive must ask one critical filtering question: do projected financial benefits justify the corporate capital and development costs required to serve each segment? This chart illustrates 5 differentiated marketing approaches. These geometric matrices dictate how a corporation maps resources across products and segments. Strategy A is single segment concentration, a high-risk, high-reward approach where one product is engineered for one segment, like Cerelac focusing on infant nutrition. Strategy C represents product specialization. Here, a firm builds one core product concept but adapts it to blanket multiple distinct market segments simultaneously. Lego is a classic example of this horizontal coverage. Strategy B is market specialization. This involves serving multiple, distinct product needs of a single, highly valued customer group, much like Coleman provides a vast array of distinct products exclusively for the outdoor enthusiast segment. Finally, Strategy D is full market coverage. This requires massive enterprise scale to serve all customer groups with every product variation they might need, a matrix perfectly executed by Coca-Cola. Ultimately, the chosen target segment dictates the entire organizational geometry, the inherent risk profile, and the total capital expenditure of the firm. The overarching goal of this entire process is straightforward: creating superior value for targeted customers in order to capture their lifetime equity in return. First, you must identify and scientifically profile distinct groups of buyers based on their geographic boundaries, demographic traits, psychographic motivations, and behavioral triggers. Next, you calculate your available organizational resources and select the precise geometric market segment to enter. Only then can you establish, differentiate, and effectively communicate the distinctive benefits of your market offering. Enterprise market dominance is never an accident. It is a rigorous, mathematically precise architecture that aligns your products directly with highly profiled human needs.